So this next discussion is on neurodiversity, which I think is probably one of the greatest discussions as it relates to disabilities in the workplace today. I personally have two boys that have neurodiverse issues, and I can tell you that they are some of the most dynamic and challenging individuals to parent, for sure, but also literally hear their points of view. These are some of the most incredibly talented individuals that are out there. And how do we pull them in? How do we harness that incredible opportunity that they bring to the company and they can bring to each of our lives? So I'm going to introduce the head of neurodiversity at EY. Again, thanking EY for their sponsorship for the wonderful Diversity for Tech panel. And Kiran Shukla is going to be joining us. And I want to also recognize my one friend, Shelly Zalas, who's also going to be on the stage. If you don't follow the female quotient on all of your social, follow it. It's important. Please join me in welcoming Kiran.
Good morning. Thank you all for being here. We're going to jump into a very rapid fire, hopefully high impact discussion for you all around champions, mentors, sponsors, and influencers. So one quick question. Are you a champion, sponsor, mentor, influencer? If you are, raise your hand. Yay. Yeah. So, by the way, all of us are, okay? And very quick background on this is we have been talking about equity and inclusion for a very long time. Gender equity, social equity, racial equity, cognitive diversity and equity around neurodiversity. And we realized that the role that mentors, sponsors, influencers, and champions play is critical to progress we can make there. And today, that progress is needed more than ever. There's a lot of polarization happening in the world. And when we think about each and every one of our differences, and I'll give you a little bit of mine very quickly, as an Indian born in Africa that escaped genocide and went to New York City as a refugee, technically I shouldn't be sitting on this stage right now. I'm here because of champion sponsors, mentors, and influencers who helped and spoke on my behalf when I was not in the room. This is an obligation, responsibility that each of us have. I'm joined by three amazing panelists today. We have Pernilla, we have Samantha, and we have Shelly. And what I'm going to ask them to really quickly talk about is how do we define this role? What is it, and why do we need this? So let's just open it up real quick. Pernilla, any thoughts from your side?
Yes, so I work for Ericsson, and we are present in 180 markets around the world. So for us, diversity is not a nice to have, but it's actually a must have, because we are actually creating the most critical infrastructure of the future in society, the networks, carrying the internet traffic of the world. And then we have to understand the needs of people from all walks of life, different cultures, different, functional ability and everything. So for me, being a champion is not a formal role, but it's something that I have to be in order to actually be able to do my job and foresee the connectivity needs of the future.
You know what I love, and Samantha, before we come to you, is Pernilla, being a champion actually serves you, it serves your business, and it gives you and your team a sense of greater purpose. So at the end of the day, this is not a nice to do, as you say, it's a have to do.
Yes.
So thank you. Samantha, can I ask you to jump in?
Hi, yes, so I'm Samantha. I work for a startup called Unmanned Life. We're a small company, so in comparison to the giant of Ericsson, I come from a slightly different perspective. We are now 26 people in the company, and we're on the route towards expansion. So for us to have the culture of a diverse and inclusive staff is critical now, so that when we do start to grow, that culture is already ingrained in our values as a company. We now have 15 different nationalities within the company, And it's very important for us, being a small number, to really have that sense of belonging now, so that we are, as we move forward, we have that same value.
Yeah, and Samantha, you had mentioned something earlier with regards to kind of the role that you play in this and your own journey of being a sponsor, a mentor, and a champion. So that's something that is important to you. Am I saying that right?
It's really important to me.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about diversity, inclusion, equality. To be able to have a diverse workforce, we need to be recruiting from diverse pools of people. We need to be able to reaching those people. But then once those people are inside the company, we need to make sure that everyone feels included, everyone belongs. And so whilst I'm not recruiting directly, I am encouraging the rest of the team to make sure that everyone is feeling included.
Yeah, and that voice and consistency is really
Exactly.
important. Shelley, I would love to hear your perspective on all of this, and something maybe what you even see broader happening, that maybe sometimes we need to take a bit of a sledgehammer to and say we need a new way of doing things. What do you think?
Yes, I mean, I love that concept. I'm well known as the chief troublemaker, to break all the rules that make no sense and create new ones. So bring that conversation to the table, and that's my conversation. I'm Shelley Zales, the CEO of the Female Quotient, and we're in the business of equality, and we do have the largest global community of women around the globe. So we have over 3 million women across 100 countries. So when we talk about diversity, equity, inclusion, it's not necessarily about women or any of those things. It's about equality and listening to hear. And when you talked about not being the right person on this stage to be here, you are exactly the right person to be on this stage. And it's about making the invisible visible. And the collective minority is greater than the current majority. And that's what it is really all about. And especially when we talk about neurodivergency, that's the invisible.
Yeah.
You don't see that. And we have to make that visible. And that's exactly why you need to be here. And, when we're looking at why do we need diversity, it's about solving the solutions for those people that we need to be creating representation for.
Yeah.
And that's why there's a bias in everything that we do, because we're not creating the solutions by the people for the people that we need to be creating the solutions for. And even just basic examples that we were talking about yesterday in automotive, a basic example, when you look at airbags, the number one fatality in airbags is women, because it was designed by men on male dummies. The number one fatality. Our bones are different.
Yeah.
Or seatbelts, they're not comfortable on the female anatomy. Or, think about my shoes, my heels on the escalators get caught in the little, thing, because they weren't designed properly.
Wow.
I mean, just basic examples that people don't think about if they're not designed by the population that are, using them. That is why diversity matters if you just look at the most basic, needs.
Well, so I'm going to pick up a phrase, Shelley, that you just said. I'm going to start to use this. I'll have to give you some copyright, trademark credits for this.
I
okay?
share.
So, by the way, do you consider yourself a chief troublemaker? Because, good, I like the hands that are going up here. And I love that phrase, because if we don't speak up, then who's going to? And who's going to make the invisible visible? Shelley, I love this point that you're making, that all of these things happen. The escalator thing is not made for women's shoes. Airbags are not made for the bones. The processes, the environment, and funny, if I was walking from Hall 1 to Hall 8 a few days ago, the lights that were flashing there, this is definitely not neuro-inclusive, and so I'm going to work with my friends at GSMA on it. But we think about the intersectionality of each and every one of us that's here. You are not just one layer of an individual. You have multiple representation. So if we can come back, Brindle, to you for a second, it feels like you have gotten to the place that you have because you've had individuals that may have been champion sponsors